We spend so much time chasing this idea of happiness,
Right.
like it's some finish line.
Yeah.
But the author of our source material today suggests that instead of being happy, it's better to just do fun things.
Interesting.
And during the pandemic and recovering from surgery, he really struggled with this.
Oh, yeah.
You know, those typical self-help things,
Like what?
gratitude lists, meditation, and all that stuff.
I know what you mean.
They just weren't working for him.
So it sounds like this really pushed him to look at things differently.
Yeah, that's right.
He shifted his thinking away from happiness and more towards...
Fun.
Yes.
Fun, exactly.
This idea of intentionally building a fun habit.
That's so interesting.
And it's not about turning into some annoyingly positive person.
Oh, no.
It's about practical ways for you to have more joy in your life.
And I think that's something we can all relate to.
One story from the book that really stood out to me was about this guy, Will Novak.
What about him?
So he gets this random email inviting him to a bachelor party.
A skiing trip to Vermont.
Nice.
But here's the thing.
What?
He doesn't even know the groom.
Wow, a complete stranger?
And he can't really afford it. Especially being a new parent and renovating his house.
I can see how that would be a tough situation.
Most people would just ignore the invite.
Yeah, probably.
But not Will.
What did he do?
He saw it as a chance for some spontaneous fun.
Yeah.
He decided to crowdfund the trip.
Really?
Yep.
That's wild.
I know, right?
So did it work?
Yeah, he got hundreds of strangers to donate money for it.
That's a great example of prioritizing fun.
Even when it seems like a crazy idea.
Right, and saying yes to the unexpected.
Which is something the author really emphasizes.
And it's a perfect segue into one of the main ideas of this deep dive.
Okay.
Which is this.
Why we shouldn't just chase happiness.
Yeah, why is that?
Well, the book argues that it's kind of a dead end.
I see.
You're on this constant treadmill.
What do you mean by that?
The book calls it the hedonic treadmill.
Oh, like hedonism.
Well, not exactly. It means...
Go on.
It doesn't matter what good or bad things happen in your life. You tend to adapt to them and end up back at your baseline level of happiness.
So like you're running but not actually getting anywhere?
Exactly.
Can you give an example?
There's this famous study about lottery winners.
Yeah, I think I've heard of that one.
They were ecstatic at first, of course.
Makes sense.
But after a while, their happiness levels went back to normal.
So even winning a huge amount of money doesn't guarantee long-term happiness.
Nope. And sometimes it even creates new problems.
Because they have to adjust to this whole new lifestyle.
Yeah, and manage all that money.
Which can be stressful in itself.
So chasing after those big life changes, thinking they'll make you permanently happy?
It's not a sustainable strategy.
Not really.
And you know what else the book talks about that makes it hard to be happy?
What's that?
Social comparison.
Ugh, the worst.
It really gets to you, doesn't it?
Constantly comparing ourselves to others.
Especially on social media.
Oh, yeah, that's a whole other level.
So like we're all trying to portray this perfect image.
And we only see the best parts of other people's lives.
Right, the highlight reel.
Which makes us feel inadequate.
It can, yeah.
The book mentions this study done in France.
What was that about?
People were actually willing to have less overall.
Less of what?
Like lower IQ, fewer vacation days.
Seriously.
If it meant having more than others.
That's so interesting.
It's all relative, right?
It is. It just shows how much our perception of happiness is influenced by how we compare to others.
And social media has amplified this to an insane degree.
Definitely. And the book talks about how it can be addictive.
We get these little dopamine hits from likes and comments.
And then we crave more and more.
Which can lead to all sorts of problems.
Right, like increased anxiety and depression.
There's a lot of research on this, actually.
People like Dr. Jean Twenge have been studying this for a while.
And the evidence is pretty clear.
Spending too much time comparing yourself to others online is not good for your mental health.
So the book makes this distinction between happiness and fun.
Which is?
Happiness is this abstract thing.
Like a state of mind.
Whereas fun is something you do.
It's an action.
You don't need to wait for something big to happen to have fun.
It's more accessible.
Exactly.
And the book introduces this model to help you build more fun into your life.
The play model.
That's the one.
Can you break it down for us?
Sure. So it has 4 quadrants.
What are they?
First, there's pleasing.
Okay. What's that?
These are the activities you really enjoy.
Like your hobbies.
Exactly. The things that make you happy.
Got it.
Then there's living.
Which is?
Things you have to do, but you can try to make them more fun.
Like your responsibility?
Right. Your job, chores, those kinds of things.
Interesting.
Next is agonizing.
Okay.
These are the things you hate doing.
The stuff that drains your energy.
Yep. And the goal is to minimize or eliminate those.
So you can have more time and energy for the fun stuff.
Exactly.
Makes sense.
And lastly, there's yielding.
Oh, what's that all about?
This is for time-wasting activities.
Things that don't bring you any real pleasure or benefit.
Right, like scrolling through social media for hours.
When you could be doing something you actually enjoy.
Precisely.
So the play model is a way for you to look in your schedule and see where your time is going.
Are you spending enough time on the pleasing stuff?
And minimizing the agonizing and yielding activities.
Right, because those can really suck the fun out of your life.
And speaking of time, how much free time do you think the average person has?
That's a good question.
The book mentions this survey,
What survey?
the American Time Use Survey.
Oh, I've heard of that one.
It shows that even full-time employees have a decent amount of leisure time.
How much?
Around 4 hours a day, on average.
That's more than I would have guessed.
I know, right?
But I'm sure it varies a lot, depending on your situation.
Oh, definitely.
Like if you have kids or not.
Yeah, and the book mentions that mothers tend to have less leisure time than fathers.
Unfortunately, that's often the case, even today.
But the point is...
Everyone has at least a couple of hours a day where they have some control over their time.
Exactly.
And it's about being intentional with that time.
Making choices that align with your values and what brings you joy.
The book talks about this idea of time affluence.
Oh,
It's like, instead of always focusing on making more money,
you focus on creating a life that feels rich in time and experiences? That's a great way to think about it.
there's this study that found that people who focus on time tend to prioritize their social connections more.
And end up having more fun.
Exactly.
So how can you create more time affluence for yourself?
Well, one way is to reduce those agonizing and yielding activities.
You mean the things we talked about earlier?
Yeah, like stop doing unnecessary chores.
Like what?
Ironing, for example, if you don't really need to.
Or politely declining meetings that aren't essential.
The book mentions this guy who tells his team to just leave meetings if they're not adding value.
I love that. It's so bold.
It's about valuing your time.
Exactly.
You can also find fun alternatives to activities you dislike.
Like what?
Instead of forcing yourself to go to the gym,
Which I hate.
you could try working out at home or going for hikes.
That's a much better idea.
And for yielding activities, especially social media,
It's about being aware of how much time you're spending on it.
and what you're actually getting out of it.
It can be a temporary escape
But it often doesn't leave you with any lasting positive memories.
because those routine, uneventful activities don't really stick in your brain.
So you might spend hours scrolling and feel like you have nothing to show for it.
It's like time just disappears.
Yeah.
So we've talked about the problem with chasing happiness.
And how to free up more time for fun activities.
Now, what about making the things you're already doing more fun?
That's where the Savers system comes in.
Oh, yeah. What's that?
It's a set of strategies for boosting your enjoyment.
Can you give us some examples?
Sure, one is activity bundling.
What's that?
It's about combining necessary tasks with enjoyable ones.
So you're not just dreading the things you have to do.
Like listening to your favorite podcast while you're exercising.
I do that all the time.
It makes it more bearable.
For sure.
Another strategy is options.
Okay.
It's about finding different ways to do things.
Exploring alternative.
Exactly. Like instead of going to a gym you hate,
You could find other ways to get exercise.
right, maybe you could join a dance class or something.
That sounds much more fun.
And there's reminiscing.
Tell me more about that one.
It's about using positive memories to boost your mood.
Like thinking about a fun vacation you took.
Yeah, and research shows that actually visualizing the memory is even more effective.
Than just looking at photos.
The book suggests printing out a photo of a happy memory and keeping it somewhere you can see it.
To remind yourself of those good times.
And the last one I'll mention is story editing.
Interesting name.
It's about challenging your beliefs about fun.
Like what kind of beliefs?
Some people think fun is unproductive or a waste of time.
Yeah, I used to think that way.
But the book argues that by changing your story about fun,
You can make it more of a priority
exactly, you can give yourself permission to enjoy it.
without feeling guilty.
Right.
So we've got some systems in place.
Yeah.
But what are some general principles for having more fun?
Well, one of the most important ones is to just take action.
Don't overthink it.
Exactly. Fun is about doing, not just thinking.
So instead of just thinking about going for a hike,
Just go do it.
right,
Another principle is to seek out experiences with more emotional intensity.
like if your life feels a bit flat.
Yeah, you need to create some excitement.
Okay.
The book also talks about risk-taking and edge work.
What does that mean?
It's about pushing your boundaries a little.
But not being reckless.
Right. It's about doing things that are challenging but also rewarding.
Like learning a new skill or trying a new sport. It
Exactly.
can be really fulfilling.
And it can lead to unique and memorable experiences. But it's also important to be mindful of excessive fun.
What do you mean by that?
Well, there's a point where fun can become unhealthy.
Like if it starts to control your life.
Yeah, if you're constantly seeking out thrills and neglecting your responsibilities.
Not good.
The book talks about the brain's reward system and how it can be hijacked by both positive and negative things.
So it's about finding a balance.
Right, and not letting fun take over.
Okay, what else?
Oh, and it's also important to embrace low arousal fun.
What's that?
These are the calmer, more relaxing activities.
Like reading, meditating, or spending time in nature.
Exactly. They're just as important for your well-being.
And they can provide a nice counterbalance to all the excitement.
Definitely.
What was the last principle again?
Intentionality over hyper-optimization.
Can you explain that one?
It means you don't need to try to squeeze fun into every minute of your day.
Just be intentional making time for it.
Right, and don't feel like you need to be having fun all the time.
Sometimes it's okay to just relax and do nothing. So we've talked about how to create more time for fun and how to make existing activities more fun.
Yeah.
But what about the actual enjoyment of those activities?
That's where breaks and variation come in.
I'm listening.
Research shows that taking breaks from pleasurable activities can actually increase your enjoyment when you return to them.
Really?
It's like giving your brain a chance to reset.
So you don't get too used to it.
Right. It's called hedonic adaptation.
Okay, so maybe instead of watching TV every night,
You could try doing something different a couple nights a week.
to keep things fresh.
Yeah, and introducing some unpredictability can also help.
How so?
Well, there was this study where people got gifts but didn't know who they were from,
Okay.
and it turned out that they stayed in a positive mood for longer.
Interesting.
It's because the element of surprise kept their brains engaged.
That makes sense.
And the book talks about how varying your experiences can make fun feel like it lasts longer.
Like if you do the same thing every weekend,
It can start to feel routine.
but if you mix things up a bit.
You're more likely to create lasting memories.
Gotcha.
So breaks and variation are key to maximizing your enjoyment.
Okay, let's talk about fun with friends.
Oh, that's a good one.
The book quotes Bill Murray.
What did he say?
If you have someone that you think is terrific, you just pick them up and do stuff.
I love that.
So simple.
And true.
Friends are so important for having fun,
They really are.
but making and keeping friends as adults can be hard.
Definitely.
Life gets busy.
And it's not always easy to find time to connect.
The book mentions those 3 key elements for making friends:
Which are.
proximity, repeated unplanned interactions, and a relaxed setting,
And modern life doesn't always provide those things.
especially for people who work from home or live in big cities.
So the book emphasizes being intentional about your social life.
And seeking out fun friends.
What are fun friends?
People who make you feel playful and uplifted.
Not just people you can vent to.
Right, but people who actually make you enjoy life more.
And how do you find these fun friends?
Well, the book suggests reconnecting with old friends,
That's a good idea. You probably have a lot of people in your life you've lost touch with.
or trying blind friend dates,
What are those?
meeting new people based on shared interests.
Like going to a book club or a hiking group.
Exactly, and it also talks about how you can improve your social skills.
Even if you're not naturally a people person,
So don't use that as an excuse.
just put yourself out there and practice.
Now, what about fun with family,
Oh, that can be tricky.
especially with kids?
There's this theory that having kids actually makes you less happy.
Really?
Yeah, but there's also research that shows it's more nuanced than that.
Yeah, like it depends on your support system and financial situation.
Right, and the book acknowledges that not having kids can make it easier to have fun.
Because you have more time and freedom.
But if you do have kids,
The book gives 2 main rules for having fun with them.
which are?
Follow their lead and embrace play.
Okay, can you elaborate on that?
It means letting go of your adult agenda
And just being present with them
and tapping into your own inner child.
to really enjoy the experience.
It's about being silly and having fun together,
And the book suggests prioritizing experiences over toys,
like going to the park or playing games together,
instead of just buying them more stuff.
because memories are more valuable than possessions.
Exactly.
Okay, let's move on to fun at work.
That's a tough one for a lot of people.
People are so stressed out these days.
And overwork.
The book challenges this always-on culture,
And it proposes a new measure of success.
which is,
Finishing the day on time and feeling energized.
instead of burnt out.
Right, it's about finding a balance.
And taking your work a little less seriously.
Yeah, try to inject some fun into it.
But how?
Well, the book emphasizes the importance of autonomy, competence, and relatedness.
What do those mean in the context of work?
Autonomy means having control over your work.
Like being able to set your own schedule or choose your projects.
Competence means feeling skilled and capable.
And relatedness means feeling connected to your colleagues.
Exactly. And when you have all three of those things,
You're more likely to enjoy your work.
the book suggests taking breaks for personal enjoyment,
Not just to check your email or scroll through social media.
but to do something that actually recharges you.
And creating fortresses.
What are those?
There's spaces, times, and mindsets where you can focus and be creative. Like a quiet room where you can work without interruptions.
To boost your relatedness at work?
You could try having lunch with friends or colleagues.
Or even just scheduling a quick call with someone you enjoy talking to.
And the book encourages you to explore the possibilities within your current job,
Maybe there are some perks you're not taking advantage of.
like attending conferences or industry events,
Or maybe you can find ways to make your daily tasks more enjoyable,
like listening to music while you work.
if that's allowed.
Of course,
And it emphasizes the importance of celebrating milestones
both big and small.
to boost morale and create a more positive work environment.
Okay, now let's talk about hard fun.
This is a really interesting concept.
What is it exactly?
It's about finding enjoyment in challenging activities.
Things that require effort and skill,
Yeah, like running a marathon or learning a new language.
but it's not about pushing yourself to the point of misery.
Right, it's about finding that sweet spot where you're challenged but also engaged
So you're growing and learning.
and having fun along the way.
The book warns against overdoing the easy fun.
Because it can lead to boredom,
So you need to find things that push you a little.
but also bring you joy.
Makes sense.
The author shares a story about completing the New Zealand Ironman.
Wow, that's intense.
But he did it in a way that was fun for him.
Like how?
He wore board shorts and a lei and listened to music.
It sounds like he was having a party.
He was making it his own.
And the book emphasizes that fun should be a key element of your goals.
Not just the reward at the end,
So you're not just grinding through something you hate.
but actually enjoying the process.
And it talks about the importance of intrinsic motivation
Doing things because you want to, not because you feel like you have to.
and compassionate motivation.
Doing things that align with your values and help others.
And it cautions against getting too caught up in self-tracking.
Because I can take the fun out of it.
If you're constantly measuring and comparing yourself,
It can become a chore.
so it's about finding a balance.
Right, and focusing on what truly matters to you.
Now, let's talk about fun as a force for change.
This is where things get really interesting.
The book argues that fun can be a powerful tool for making a difference in the world.
Like through giving back to your community,
And it uses the example of Hands Across America
where millions of people held hands across the country.
to raise awareness for hunger and homelessness.
It was a powerful display of unity and compassion.
And the book talks about how fun and compassion are allies in moving us towards contribution.
As opposed to sympathy and apathy,
It highlights the work of Playbuild in New Orleans.
which uses play to transform blighted neighborhoods.
And it tells the story of Graham, who ran a marathon during lockdown to raise money for cancer research.
So there are many ways to combine fun with giving back.
The book gives some principles for incorporating this into your fun habit.
Like what?
Choose a cause you care about.
And find ways to participate that align with your personality and skills.
And share your involvement authentically.
Don't do it just for the likes on social media.
But because you genuinely want to make a difference.
The book mentions Noah Kagan's Sumo 50 charity ride,
Where people ride their bikes to raise money for charity.
and it suggests looking into your employer's CSR programs.
To see if there are any opportunities to get involved.
And it reminds us that even small acts of kindness can make a big difference.
Like helping an elderly neighbor with their groceries.
Or donating to a local food bank.
Okay, now let's dive into the deeper meaning of fun.
The book explores this idea of escapism,
Getting away from it all.
and it argues that peak escapism can lead to new perspectives and creative solutions.
Like how?
Think about astronauts in space.
They have this incredible view of the Earth.
And it can change their whole outlook on life.
Interesting.
Fun can provide that kind of psychological distance from your everyday existence.
Allowing you to reflect and challenge your assumptions.
But the book cautions against letting those moments of escape be consumed by the nothing.
What's that?
Mindless scrolling on social media,
I see.
especially after a vacation or a break.
When you're supposed to be feeling refreshed and rejuvenated.
It recommends being more mindful in those moments.
And maybe delaying the urge to share everything online.
Just soak it all in.
And the book shares a story about a chance encounter during a camping trip.
Oh, yeah. What happened?
This guy was just sitting by the fire,
Mm-hmm.
and he struck up a conversation with a stranger. They ended up having this amazing connection.
Just by being present in the moment.
That's awesome.
The book also talks about the benefits of solo travel.
And carving out solo time even during group trips.
To give yourself space to reflect and recharge.
Hmm?
And then it introduces this concept of adventure time.
Tell me more about that.
These are the profound experiences that stretch your perception of time.
Like completing an extreme marathon.
Or climbing a mountain.
Those kinds of things.
The book mentions that career breaks and sabbaticals can also provide this kind of experience.
By giving you a chance to step away from your routine and try something new.
It's important to plan your escapes around what truly excites you.
And be honest with yourself about your motivations.
Are you escaping to something positive?
Or escaping from something negative.
Healthy escapism can be a great way to reduce stress and burnout.
But unhealthy escapism can just make things worse.
So it's about finding that balance.
And the book ends this section with a conversation with someone named Jane.
What did she say?
She said that fun is less thinking and more do.
Ying.
It's about taking action, not just sitting around and thinking about it.
She also said that fun is a we proposition.
It connects us to something outside of ourselves
And can lead to a more profound sense of joy.
than just pursuing pleasure on our own.
Makes you think.
Okay, let's wrap up with the importance of curiosity and embracing the unexpected,
Curiosity is key to finding fun.
because it opens you up to new experiences.
The book suggests exploring new places
Maybe by taking advantage of airline mile deals
and connecting with locals.
to get a more authentic experience.
And it explains the science behind surprise,
Like how it activates your brain's reward system.
even more than just pleasure itself.
Interesting.
And it uses the example of music appreciation.
How so?
Well, the most enjoyable songs tend to have a balance of predictability and surprise.
So you're not completely lost?
But you're also not bored.
Makes sense.
And the book tells the story of Adam Yauch from the Beastie Boys.
Oh yeah, I love him.
He was known for his playful spirit and his love of pranks.
He was always up for something fun.
And that's a great example of how curiosity and a sense of adventure can lead to a fulfilling life.
Okay, last but not least, the book talks about memento mori. It's a Latin phrase that means remember that you will die.
Oh, that's kind of morbid.
But it's actually meant to be inspiring
How so?
by reminding us of our mortality.
It encourages us to make the most of our time.
The book shares the story of Rick Elias,
Who survived the miracle on the Hudson plane crash?
and it completely changed his perspective on life
It made him realize how precious life is.
and how important it is to do the things that matter to you.
The book also talks about the author's own personal memento mori
Like a picture with his brother,
and a voicemail from his father,
these reminders help him stay focused on what's important.
and not waste time on things that don't bring him joy.
The key takeaway is that you shouldn't wait until the end of your life to start having fun,
It's something you can and should do now.
while you still have the chance.
And the book mentions research that shows a link between accepting your mortality and experiencing greater life satisfaction.
So maybe thinking about death isn't such a bad thing after all.
It can actually help you live a more fulfilling life.
And finally, the book reveals a hidden element within its pages.
Oh, what's that?
It's called Ultima.
Interesting name.
It suggests that the truest form of fun and fulfillment,
Might be found in unexpected ways.
by being open to new experiences and stepping outside of your comfort zone.
It's about letting go of your expectations and embracing the unknown.
So to sum up, what's the main message of this deep dive into the fun habit?
Intentionally cultivating fun is a powerful way to enhance your well-being, build resilience, and find deeper meaning in life.
It's not frivolous or selfish.
It's essential for a happy and fulfilling life.
And it's more reliable than just chasing after happiness.
Because fun is an action.
You can choose to do it, regardless of your circumstances.
And on that note, we leave you with a final thought.
From Patton Oswalt's wife, Michelle McNamara.
She said, "It's chaos. Be kind."
Embrace the unpredictable nature of life with kindness towards yourself and others.
And maybe that's the key to unlocking lasting joy.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the power of fun.
We hope you found it insightful and inspiring.
And we encourage you to take some of these ideas and apply them to your own life.
Because life is too short not to have fun.
See you next time.
Bye.